What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I don't know why it told me the meeting was being recorded. I clicked the record button. It told me, who knows how you doing? Keep moving. But welcome back, Duncan Productions Hockey Talk with the man himself, Dylan Griffin. Follow him on Twitter at Griffin Dylan. Let's get this man. Let's get this man's followers through the roof. Let's go crazy. Dylan, man. NHL playoffs. It's a great time right now. Playoffs are in full swing. So far, every game has went to overtime. We've had 3 games. We've had Capitals, Bruins, Caps won in overtime. We've had Wild, Golden Knights, Wild won in overtime and a Wild one. And then Islanders beat the Penguins of Pittsburgh. Really 3 good games in my opinion. Dylan, what have you saw so far, and what's something that we need to keep an eye on as these playoffs continue based on what you've seen so far?
I didn't catch the first game, Caps Bruins, but I did see Craig Anderson came out of nowhere, had a really good game in net. Samsonov is coming off the COVID list now, so they'll have him back. Vidic Vinacek, I don't know what's happening with him. Apparently, there's like rumors going around that he faked an injury or something. I don't know. I didn't read into it, but that series is going to be a good one. One of the ones that I'm looking more forward to. I did catch the Islanders Penguins from today. A lot of things there. Matt Barzal was kind of invisible. Kind of need the Islanders to have him. He's their best player, obviously. Their defense looked rough. Nick Leddy and Scott Mayfield are just not good. And then, but I mean, offensively, Kyle Palmieri scored twice. They kept picking at Tristan Jarry's high glove. He couldn't stop anything. But on the Penguin side, Letang looked much better than he did in the regular season. Sidney Crosby looked great. He had a fantastic tip goal, one-handed. Just all their forwards were looking good, especially their fourth line. That's going to be a really good matchup. I think Pittsburgh should have come away with that one, but the goaltending was not on their side. And then Wild Golden Knights. I wanted to fall asleep during this one, 0-0 the whole way. But I mean, great goaltending. Talbot kept the shutout the whole time. Vegas weren't really challenging him though. A lot of shots from low danger areas, so that's kind of what they do. They take a lot of just low percentage shots. So goalies get good save percentages against them, look really good. He kept the shot the whole game. They won overtime, 1-0. I'd struggle to see the Wild beating Vegas in this series. I think it's definitely possible, but they're just not finishing their chances. Ryan Hartman had so many chances this game and just didn't score any of them. Kaprizov was doing a great job as a playmaker, so he wasn't really the one that they were relying on the goals. Joel Eriksson scored the overtime winner, so that's something to take out of it at least. Penguins Islanders, that one's going to be probably a Game 7 series. And then Caps Bruins, I obviously didn't see the game, but I think that one's going to go 6-7. Maybe Bruins will come back and win 4 in a row or something, but these are all going to be really close series.
So I completely agree with you on that point. I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, and he was confused as to why I was, looking into the NHL and whatnot. And I'm like, well, listen, I got Dylan Griffin coming on the show. I got to be smart. I got to be prepared. And so as I was watching, I obviously watched all 3 of the games. I sadly didn't get to watch the whole Wild Golden Knights game because I had something going on, but that's fine. So didn't get to watch that, but I heard, very defensive, very goalie oriented game. I think that that series in particular, I was so surprised with how the Golden Knights came out. Like I felt like they didn't really come out with that fire of Vegas. I didn't feel like they came out as a team that looked, in my opinion, like the best team in the NHL all season long. I think obviously when you talk about Bruins Capitals, you talk about two very good, very skilled teams. Two great players in Brad Marchand and Alexander Ovechkin squaring off. I think that has potential to go 6 or 7 games. Islanders Penguins. I was really surprised that the Penguins lost. They've been playing really well as of late. I do think that the Penguins are going to get hot though. Now that Chris Letang looks like he's back, expect the Penguins to win this series. I'd probably say in about 6 games, but I think the other two series for sure go 7. But Dylan, I know that we got a few more matchups here to cover, but I want to talk to you. What's the matchup that you're most looking forward to out of the ones we haven't talked about yet? One, is the one going on right now, Tampa, Florida? Are you excited about that one, or what's kind of the matchup that's got your eye the rest of the next few days here starting
It's
up?
got to be Tampa, Florida. Right now, it's in the second period. Just to kind of date where we are when we're recording this. The second period just started, and it's already been an insane game. A ton of penalties, ton of fighting. Already 3 goals scored, 1 goal disallowed. There's just so much anger between these two teams. The Battle of Florida, obviously. Tampa's obviously got Kucherov, Stamkos back after their injuries, quote unquote.
Ooh.
You don't know about that?
Yeah, DGriff, I'm gonna need you to go more in depth with the quotes here, my guy. What are we thinking?
Kucherov got injured in the offseason so that he could be on long-term injury reserve and his cap win count against their salary cap, and then magically came back just in time for the first game of the playoffs where there is no salary cap. So it's kind of like what happened with Patrick Kane a few years ago when we made some trade deadline moves and he got injured and then came back for game 1 of the playoffs. Something that happens, cap circumvention. But yeah, it kind of happened with Stamkos too. Right at the end of the year, he got hurt and then came back for game 1. But they obviously have everyone now. Hedman's apparently playing injured though, but he still looked good this game so far. People are talking about him for the Norris. I think that's a bit rich. He's been kind of average this year. But yeah, this is just a great matchup. 2 really good teams. I think Panthers could win it in 4 or 5. But it's probably gonna end up going to 7 also. But Panthers over the Lightning is my biggest, I guess, upset, even though I do think the Panthers are the better team.
Okay. So you're thinking upset there. Games that we haven't talked about. I kind of went back and forth on this one, Dylan, because there's so many good matchups. But I agree with you. I think it's got to be Tampa and Florida. I will say one that I'm really looking for is the Blues and Avalanche. I'm very curious to see how that series goes because I think that the way Colorado has played this season, they could win this series in easily 4 games. But it seems like every year the St. Louis Blues, when they're doubted, they just come out and play amazing and take a team that they really shouldn't beat to 6 or 7 games and sometimes even beat the team. So I think that that's one to keep an eye on. But I agree with you, Tampa and Florida. I think so much this year was made about Tampa repeating. And so much is made this year of Florida and how great they are playing. They had an unbelievable season. I was not sure that we were going to see this good a Florida team when the year started. Dylan, I'm sure you would agree with me on this. I didn't think they would be second in this division, at least in my opinion. But I think that I think Tampa's going to win this series only because I think the combination of Hedman, Stamkos, and Kucherov, I think, is going to be just a little too much. But we'll see how this game 1 goes. Game 1, gives me a pretty good idea of how the series is going to look. After this, I'm going to go, watch the whole game. So make sure I'm getting my analysis down for the next Hockey Talk with Dylan. But Dylan, I'm very excited for that we have Stanley Cup playoffs. Very excited. We had that chilling 2.5 minute video by the man himself, Doc Emmerich. Yesterday it was posted to the NHL and NBC Twitter account. Make sure you guys go check that out. We also retweeted it on our Twitter, so check us out on Twitter. Check Dylan out on Twitter. Go check Twitter.
Just get Twitter.
Yes, Doc Emmerich got us started, and Dylan, for me, what I'm really looking for in this playoffs is I think we got a lot of fun, exciting matchups. I could point to you right now and say, in the West, in the second round, we're gonna have two teams, amazing teams. I mean, I as of right now, I think it will be Colorado and Vegas. Not saying I don't think the Wild can win, because if I had to pick an upset, the Minnesota Wild would be it. But I think Vegas and Colorado in round two then, and then you have obviously the two teams from Florida. They'll probably play Carolina. That'll be interesting. Carolina's having a great season. And then, I mean, you talk about possibly the Islanders maybe against the Washington Capitals. Barry Trotz going up against his former team, can wreck him in the playoffs. Something that Barry Trotz has kind of struggled with in the playoffs. He struggled in the playoffs, if I remember correctly, at times in his career. Obviously, they won the Stanley Cup, I believe. Did they win the Stanley Cup, or was that Vegas doing back in 2018, was it?
That was the Capitals. So, yes.
Yeah. So, Dylan, I want you to give me, who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup this year? Give me your winner and give me your team that you think could be a dark horse to make it there.
The winner, I've done a few of those bracket challenges on NHL.com. Both times I just had to pick Colorado. Okay. I mean, you look at their team, the defense is fantastic. The forwards are great. I've talked about them every time I've been on the show. Colorado are just a team to beat this year. They obviously won the President's Trophy, so now they have the curse. So they're not actually going to win the cup because, can't win the cup, you win the President's Trophy. That's just how it works. But they're still my team. I think they make it the whole way. And then if you're looking at an underdog, I mean, you could look at the Islanders making it to the Final Four. Obviously, Barry Trotz, he always builds these teams that are just made for the playoffs. Just work really hard, kind of get that hockey guy attitude of just going out there, dump and chase all game long and hope for the best like that. You could look at coming out of the North, any team can really come out there. Toronto are obviously the favorites, but they play Montreal first round. Montreal can do anything. So that could be an upset right there. That's the 1 seed against the 4 seed. But I have, I think Winnipeg have a chance to make it out of that North Division as well. They play Edmonton round 1. Their team isn't great. I don't think that they're actually a team that's going to compete for the cup, but I think they're a team that could surprise. And that's just because of Connor Hellebuck in net. They got Nikolai Ehlers as well. He's been fantastic this year. Their defense is whatever. They have some okay pieces, but overall, I still don't think they're a really good team, but they're a good enough team that they could beat Edmonton and then maybe squeeze past that next series.
Okay. So the North you're kind of thinking is wide open, because I kind of had that same thought too, because I mean, Toronto really has never put it all together. I think they have I think they have a lot of veteran talent this year, correct? Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong there.
Thornton, Jason Spezza, Wayne Simmons, bunch of old players.
So my winner, Dylan, this might surprise some people. I think my winner this year, the Boston Bruins. I think they're gonna win it this year. No, I said Colorado and I said Vegas throughout the year. I think Boston. I just think that Tuukka Rask and that. I think that they are going to have to go through 7, 7, 7, and then probably 7. And I think they're going to get it done. My surprise team, I think is going to be the Minnesota Wild. Um, I think the Minnesota Wild could shock some people. I do think that Vegas does win this series in 7 games, but again, Dylan, if you were to tell me who's a team that you could see making it to the Final Four that no one else expect, I think it's Minnesota. They just play great hockey. They're very physical. They got a lot of young talent that has really blossomed, and I think that these younger players they got better as the game gone on went on today, in my opinion. I think obviously when you come out, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's game one. It's against Vegas. It's at their place. Like it's a lot of pressure, but I do think that this Wild team can make a deep run. Will they? Will be the question. But yeah, I think that the Boston Bruins are going to win it this year. I'm probably going to be completely wrong. They'll probably get eliminated by Washington, to tell you the truth. But, Dylan, what are your thoughts on my Boston pick, man? I usually think outside the box on these predictions, so I'm trying to think outside the box.
I mean, I'm on your side here. I think they can run to the finals. If if they can beat a team like Colorado there, or I don't even know. I don't know what the seeding, how that works once the Final Four is over. So I'm not sure when they would face. Because they don't explain any of this very well. So I don't know
No.
how it works when they get to the Final Four. But if when they have to face a team like Colorado, I think that'll be their first like real challenge. I think they can get past Washington round one. I think either Pittsburgh, the Islanders. I think they can beat either of them. Uh, I'm not sure when Malkin's coming back for the Penguins, but if he's not back by then, if the Penguins make it through the Islanders, I think that's going to be still a major loss for them. But yeah, Boston, obviously the great forwards. They have the best top line in the league. Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. Second line, Krejci, Hall, and then I think Craig Smith is the third
Yep.
forward there. That's like the best second line in the league as well. They have Charlie McAvoy, who's top 5, top 10 defenseman in the league. Matt Grzelcyk, who's another solid defenseman. I think they have struggled out with injuries this year, especially on their D. So that's going to be something that's going to maybe hinder them throughout their run. But obviously having Tuukka Rask in net, the great forward core, they can definitely make another deep run.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up as well. The addition of Taylor Hall. We talked about it last episode. Who was the best deadline signing? And I believe one of us said Taylor Hall, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go back and watch, but I believe one of us did. Um, I'm really interested to see how this playoff goes. But a matchup that we haven't really touched on yet: Carolina versus Nashville. How are we feeling about that matchup, Dylan? Do you think Nashville could give Carolina a challenge, or do you think it's really Carolina's to lose?
This was the one series that I chose that would end in a sweep for Carolina. Nashville got hot towards the end of the year, but I just don't see that being sustainable enough. They obviously have the defense, Yossi Ekholm, Ellis. Forwards, they have Forsberg. I don't think Victor Arvidsson has even been that good this year. That's what the forwards are the main issue for them. I think they have a really good defense. Saros in net has been great this year, but it's just the forward core that's really lacking. Then you compare that to Carolina, who obviously have Aho, Teravainen, Nino Niederreiter, Svechnikov, bunch of names, bunch of scoring depth. They got Dougie Hamilton, Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce, Jake Gardner, all defensemen who can step up and take big roles. Alex Nedeljkovic stepped up finally. He's like 25 years old, and he's been completely dominant this year. He's kind of worked his way up to being their starter. And then they also have Peter Mrazek to back up on, or yeah, to be the backup. So I don't see Nashville really having the sustainability to have much of a chance. I think they can sneak maybe one game, but I don't see Carolina losing this one.
So you do have the Blues and Avalanche series going more than 4 games. How many games do you have that series going, Don?
I think 6.
Okay.
Avalanche
So
winning it, obviously.
so you think St. Louis is going to give Colorado a little bit of trouble, a little bit.
I think so. I think it's just going to come down to goaltending. That's
Okay.
kind of Colorado's major concern. It's also one of the Blues' bigger concerns. So I think it won't be too difficult to sneak a second game if you're the Blues. They obviously have good scorers. So that'll just be a closer one, but I still see Colorado taking it. Maybe it could go to 5. Maybe it'll be a sweep, but I think 6 is more realistic for them.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it was funny because I filled out one of those brackets and I had very similar results. Like I believe I had the Avs winning in 5, and I had Carolina winning in 5. I think the only series I thought was gonna be a sweep. I think I had Winnipeg sweeping Edmonton. I don't trust Edmonton, Dylan. I just don't. I think that they're like we talked about, I believe, one of the first times you came on, we talked about this with Edmonton. They're all offense. If their offense ain't on, they're going to lose, you know?
I mean, you have Connor McDavid. He's always on. He has had like the best season ever for a forward.
He is. I obviously have to look at my bracket, but I believe I had Winnipeg winning either 4 or 5 games. That was the only game that I think I may have made a sweep or thought about a sweep was that series. But I think we're going to be treated to some great hockey. I'm excited for the matchups in the West and in the East.
I just pulled up my bracket.
I'm excited for those. I'm very excited. So yeah, so Dylan, I just pulled mine up. So I had Winnipeg winning in 5.
How about we do this? So I just pulled
Okay.
up mine. Let's just go through each matchup and we can
Okay.
compare.
Bet.
So,
Let's do it.
So Toronto, Montreal. I have Montreal in 6.
I have Toronto in 7.
Edmonton, Winnipeg. I got Edmonton in 7.
I got Winnipeg in 5.
Oh boy. Pittsburgh Islanders. I got Pittsburgh in 7.
I got Pittsburgh in 6.
Boston, Washington. Boston in 5.
I got Boston in 6.
Colorado, St. Louis. Colorado in 6.
I got Colorado in 5.
Mini Vegas. Minnesota in 7.
Oh, I got Vegas in 7. I got Vegas in 7.
Carolina, Nashville. Carolina in 4.
I got Carolina in 5.
And then Florida, Tampa. Florida in 5.
Tampa in 7.
Rooting for the cheaters.
I mean, Dylan, man, I got family down there in Tampa, man. You know, they big Lightning fans. They kind of converted me. They're like kind of my second favorite team. They're a distant second favorite team, Dylan. Though they're distant. They're
Can't
distant.
be doing that to me, Dunkel.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. You know, but Dylan, I wanted to talk to you about this real quick now that we ran through our matchups of what we think are going to happen in this first round. So I did see a couple days ago, you had your 2021 NHL mock draft. This is Dylan Griffin. I think mock draft 1.0, right, man? This is
way too early
one.
still. Yeah.
So it's a way too early 1.0. So you got Owen Power with the first pick. You got William Eklund with the second. You got Matthew Beniers with the third. I'm not going to run through them all, but I will say, dude, a lot of guys on here I have never even heard of. So, Dylan, what goes into the process of creating this mock draft? Do you look at team needs? You look at player profiles? What's the one thing you kind of look at?
Well, I mean, I've just watched all these players all year. So, and then there's also Bob McKenzie at TSN. He compiles lists from scouts and makes it into one giant list, so that kind of helps out.
Okay.
But also that does come down to team needs. Even though drafting by needs in the first round is not a great decision. Like I have Jesper Wallstedt going to San Jose at 8 just because they really need goaltending, and he's one of the best goalie prospects we've seen in ever. But it just comes down to either who's the best player available or what's kind of looking back at how the team has drafted before. What have they looked at? What are the kind of the patterns? That kind of helps out. But I mean, to me, mock drafts are more or less useless. I just do it for fun. I care more about my rankings than a mock draft, just because mock draft is just kind of guessing, whereas rankings are, here's who I believe are the best players, and here's the order I have them in.
So do we have the Dylan Griffin rankings out yet, or are those coming soon?
Those are still coming.
Okay.
Not totally sure when I'll drop any new ones. Probably not till the end of the year. The U18s just happened. That was kind of the biggest tournament that the players were playing in, so that kind of had an influence. Kind of bumped some players up, bumped some down. So still changes happening with them.
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. But yeah, I saw that the other day, and I wanted to ask you about it. Now that we had you on again, Dylan, I think that we'll probably hop back on here once the second round or the final four starts, something like that. We might even have to do a live for the boys. Hockey Talk Live with Dylan Griffin. You guys let us know down below if you guys want to see that. I'll talk to Dylan about a date. We'll figure it out. Keep it moving. How you doing? But Dylan, I want to thank you, man, for always coming on, always bringing the truth with the NHL talk. I've called you the GOAT of hockey outside of Doc Emmerich, and I mean it. Absolutely 100% mean it, brother. Appreciate you so much, man. Stand on by it for a little bit after the show. We'll talk a little bit. But I want to thank you, man, so much for coming on. And any last words before the episode is over, Dylan?
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for always having me on here to talk some hockey. I'm not quite. I still don't think you should be calling me the GOAT of hockey, but I get it.
I mean, Dylan, this is where I get my hockey stuff from, man. So to me, you're the GOAT. Like, I'd much rather listen to you talk NHL for 25, 30 minutes than probably anybody else. So that's you got something going for you, bud. But make sure you guys go follow Dylan down below. Don't forget, check out our website down there as well. We got a lot of great content coming on there. NHL articles about to be coming soon. I might write an NHL article or two, or at least try. It should be interesting. But guys, remember, every moment matters. Keep on keeping on. And all love to all the fans, all the guests, all the support, all the love. We appreciate it. And peace out.